Well, good afternoon, fellow constitutionalists, and welcome to the Dan Clemens Show. I'm your host, Dan Clemens, your constitutional warrior, fighting for your right just to be an American. It is May 5th in the year of our Lord 2022. Remember, we're a hyphen-free, PC-free zone. God is still in control, and He does love you. And I'm coming live to you from the Hemlock Studios here in beautiful central Susquehanna Valley in the great Keystone State. And let me take these earmuffs off. I'm going to put my other phones on, but I'll be able to talk while I'm doing it. Today's show is something that's been very difficult for me to put together. It's a hard subject for me to preach on, to teach on, to actually broach the subject of abortion. Most of you know that Sunday night there was a leak of a draft document of the decision coming up to overturn Roe v. Wade based on this Mississippi law. Now, the problem, as I see it, it's twofold. Well, actually, it's not twofold, it's onefold. The leak. Who leaked it? This leak. Now, the Democrats don't see this, but this leak is going to do great harm to the Democrat Party. It really is. So, we need to find out, not Democrat Party, excuse me. I was thinking, to the Supreme Court. They need to be able to debate these issues in private without the public bashing down the doors because they don't agree with something that was said or anything like that. And so this is a big issue. Democrats don't see it this way. Republicans see it this way. I'm a constitutionalist, and I definitely see it this way. And this evil that's being perpetrated here in the United States and around the world, but I'm going to deal with the United States because I live here. This evil of abortion has to end. It has to end, folks. There's been over 63 million babies aborted since 1973, since Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided, where the judiciary in 1973, the Supreme Court, was legislating from the bench. Now, I know a lot of progressives and liberals and leftists, left-leaning liberals and definitely leftists, they don't see anything wrong with this legislating from the bench. They really don't. And this is an issue, folks. This is a huge issue about legislating from the bench because it's not supposed to happen. They're not supposed to be doing this, legislating from the bench. And it amazes me how many people actually don't understand this, especially on the left, that they don't understand what's going on here. It amazes me that they don't even, the lamestream media isn't talking about it, the White House isn't talking about it. Now, Justice Roberts has launched an investigation to find out who did it. I haven't been checking since I've been setting up this video here, or this live stream, because I really want to get this out. This is heavy on my heart. Monday and Tuesday, I was just sick in my heart and my spirit. I was very downtrodden over this whole thing. And it is the subject of abortion, but what I was downtrodden about was the Democrats' response to all this and how they can defend, or how they do defend, this abject evil of abortion. And I have some clips here of Elizabeth Warren. There was a guy that heckled her saying we don't want babies dismembered in the womb. And it's kind of funny because she didn't answer that. She was answering everybody else's questions because it was part of the part of their religion, their leftist religion, their culture, their ideology, and their doctrine. It's part of their doctrine, and she was answering those questions. But boy, this pro-life guy was really getting it out there, and they hustled it out. We'll see that. Joe Biden, bumbling, stumbling Joe, comes in and talks about religion, and of course he gets it totally wrong on when life actually begins. I have Representative Pramila Jayapal talking about how SCOTUS, how dare they can't do this. And Chuck Schumer, he's beside himself that These justices said that they wouldn't rule against Roe v. Wade, and I'll make some comments and commentary on that. I want to start off by reading some um, Bible passages that I think are key to what I'm talking about today. If you want to turn your Bibles, if you have them, or if you have Bible software like I do on my computer, if you want to turn over to the book of Psalms, chapter 106, we'll be starting in verse 34. Now, this is out of the New American Standard 77 Bible. Psalms 106:34. They did not destroy the peoples as the Lord commanded them, but they mingled with the nations and learned their practices and served their idols, which became a snare to them. They even sacrificed their sons and their daughters to the demons and shed innocent blood, the blood of their sons and their daughters, whom they sacrificed to the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with the blood. Now, folks, some folks might think that's real strong language here, but the problem with when Israelites and Joshua went in to conquer the promised land, Joshua didn't do his job. He didn't do everything he was supposed to do. And he didn't drive all the people out. And the problem was these people were actually practicing abject evil themselves and sacrificing their sons and their daughters to Moloch, and Israel got caught up in this. And the reason why God, and they come back, some people come back, well, he's an unjust God because he said all these children had to be killed. Knowing what we know now, what the cultural Marxists are doing now in our society, what the leftists and the Democrat Party are advocating, is that we take children as young as 3 years old and start teaching them about sexuality, start making them question about their gender, which there's only two genders and it's determined biology. Either you're male or you're female, that's it. And I know there's other minor exceptions, but we do not govern on the fringes. We govern on the majority of what it is. Science, biology, male, female, woman, man, he, her, him, she. Only two genders. The rest of them, in my opinion, are mental issues that need to be addressed. Now the cultural Marxists will tell you, no. But folks, when you have preschool teachers, kindergarten teachers, first, second, third, fifth grade teachers teaching children about sexuality, teaching them to question if they're a boy or girl, we have a problem in society. We really do, because these children are being indoctrinated. I thank God all the time that I graduated before the Department of Education really got up to speed. They were unconstitutionally, let me put it this way, Jimmy Carter was president at the time, and he unconstitutionally established the Department of Education on the federal level. Nothing in the Constitution authorized him to do that. States did not give the federal government that authority to govern over the education of our children. And I know this little side note, but it needs to be gone. The Department of Education is unconstitutional, and governors of states really need to just stand up and say, no more. We didn't give you this authority in the Constitution, and we're not going to carry out your dictates. We're not going to do what you tell us to do, and we're going to take care of the education ourselves. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. And that's what needs to be done. Governors, for some reason, for a long time, have been cowards when it comes to the federal government, because they think the federal government is the supreme authority here in the United States, and they're not. They never have been. Our founders and framers that founded the country and framed the Constitution recognized a basic truth that was never recognized, or very seldom recognized in history, that the people themselves are sovereign. There were people over here doing what they wanted to do before the American government was set up. Now, were they under some rules? Yes, they were. Common law, British. They were under the king. I understand that, but when we're talking about the Constitution of the United States, there had to be people here, even in England, there had to be people there before they could set up a government or some type of government. They went with the monarchs in England. But there had to be people to rule. If there wasn't any people to rule, what are they going to do? I mean, seriously, folks. So the people have always come before governments. And when the framers set up the federal government, they recognized the supremacy of the states. The states have authority over the federal government because the states are who created the federal government, that compact with the federal government. So the people are sovereign over the states, and the states are sovereign over the federal government, which means the people themselves are sovereign over the federal government. And we don't understand it. That's a lost truth to us. It really is. It's a lost truth. And when it comes to legislating things, the Constitution is very clear on who does the legislation. That's Congress. That's Congress. Article 1, all legislation will be done in Congress, and a bicameral Congress, a House, Representatives, and a Senate. And this is another thing that we need to correct too. I'm going to do there's going to be a lot of side stuff as I'm going through this, talking about this whole issue. The 17th Amendment needs to be repealed. The Senate was originally set up to represent the states at the federal level. The House Representatives was set up, and we live in congressional districts, to represent the people at the federal level. But the progressives, the leftists, the cultural Marxists decided early in the 1900s that this is the best way to go. It's almost like a super house, the Senate is. They're not really beholden to anybody. They can't be recalled by the governors as they were without the 17th Amendment, because they were appointed by the legislatures and the governors. And they can't be told what to do by the states because, again, they're voted in by the people. We don't live in a democracy, folks. We live in a republic. And a lot of people get that wrong also. Okay? They think, little side note, they think because Elon Musk bought Twitter that's a threat to our democracy. Well, thank God we don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional representative republic. Go look it up. It's a lot different. Oh, it's a type of democracy. No. Look, it is what it is. It's a constitutional representative republic. We don't live in a democracy. And this issue, getting back to abortion, everybody on the left that supports, and I don't really know if there's anybody besides, I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody in the Republican Party that really supports abortions. There might be. I don't want to paint a broad brush, say there isn't anybody. But if you're supporting abortion, you're using, and they claim a bunch of stuff to say abortion's okay, but it's an unearned moral authority. It's not based on any just moral standard. And I'll give you an example. If I come over to your house, and let's say your mom and dad's at your house. I'm 60 years old. I still have my mom and my dad, although they're divorced, but I still have them. But let's say I come over to your house and your mom and dad are still alive and they're there, and I say, well, I think it's time we just kill your dad. What are you going to say to me? What are you going to do? Well, you're going to try to stop me, I hope. If I tell you I'm going to kill your dad, I hope you're going to stop me. Why are you going to stop me? Because it's morally wrong to kill your dad. It's morally wrong to aggress against your dad, to perform any type of aggression against your dad at all, unless he's aggressing against me first. The non-aggression principle that the libertarian spouse, I think it's a good principle to live by. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Okay, so it's wrong to kill. It's wrong for me to come over and kill your dad. Okay, now let's turn around and look at the abortion issue. The cultural Marxists, the leftists, the liberals in the Democrat Party and in the country, they say it's okay to kill the baby in the womb. And they give all sorts of reasons. Now, there's straw man arguments, but they give all sorts of reasons: viability, it wouldn't survive outside the womb. It's just a clump of cells, that's not alive. They're like all over the place. Like, well, we don't really know when life begins, even though scientists have, in recent years, have said life begins at conception. They actually have, if you go look it up, if you like Google, I don't use Google. I use another Gibaroo, is the search engine I use. But anyway, you look it up, they actually have pictures of a female egg, human egg, being impregnated by a sperm, and there's like a spark that happens. They actually have videos of this. It's amazing. And they call that the spark of life. And I'm a Christian. I don't hide that. It's in my, it's on my feed. It's, I say who I am, a constitutional Christian. I'm a Christian constitutional warrior, whichever way you want to put it. And I believe in my heart of hearts that life begins at conception. The Bible backs me up. The Bible backs me up. Talks about how we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Many prophets, Jeremiah is one of them, that I knew you from the womb. When you were nothing really in the womb, I knew you. So we have a God that has a moral standard that's fast, that doesn't change. So if it's wrong for me to come over to your house to kill your dad for whatever reasons, then it's wrong for someone to turn right around and kill a baby in the womb. It just is. I know people want to argue with me about this, and I'm not going to stand for it. You can try to argue all you want, but you're being hypocritical if you think it's not okay to kill your dad and turn around and kill an unborn baby that's in your womb. To me, that's evil. That's an evil way to think about things. And the Democrats and the cultural Marxists and the leftists in the Democrat Party, we got Biden, we got Whoopi Goldberg, we got Elizabeth Warren, we got Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. They're all, and their acolytes, their disciples, are all fighting. I have a video down here I'm going to show you the violence these people are willing to commit to keep the right to kill babies. They believe they have a moral right to kill babies because it's my body, my choice. And the problem with that is it's not your body. It's not your body at all. And I just want to, I got another, I need to set this up real quick here. I got something I want to show you and talk about a little bit, but to say that if it's your body and you're going to kill it, okay, then you're dead. Okay? You're not killing your body. You're killing another person's body. And I really like this infograph. I really do. And I just want to make sure I'm all set up here. Okay. I really like this infograph. It shows a woman's body. And then it shows the other body that's going inside of her. Now they make an argument. Well, you're forcing her to carry that baby. You know what, folks? I get really, really tired of that argument. Because you know what? If you have ever read the book of Matthew and the Sermon on the Mount, and Jesus talks about getting angry, and if you go back to the Old Covenant and the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not commit murder. In order to murder somebody, in order for me to go out and kill somebody, there's a lot of steps that have to take place before I get to that point that I'm going to kill somebody. Bible says I shouldn't be angry without reason. And if I am, I need to put that aside, and I need to make up with my brother or my sister in Christ, or outside of Christ in the family, whoever I might have the conflict with. I need to make that right. But in order in the Ten Commandments, the spiritual application had always been there. Thou shalt not commit murder. Okay, I've never killed anybody. Have you been angry enough that you wanted to kill somebody? Well, a couple times, yeah. There have been a couple times I wish I had something with me. I ought to kill them, You made that choice to be angry. Maybe they did something to you that's angered you, but you made the choice to hold on to that anger. You made the choice not to forgive them, or let's say there's no forgiving them. Let's say they don't want your forgiveness. They don't want nothing to do with you. They angered you. Separate yourself away from them so you can get rid of that anger. Same way with a pregnant woman. Oh, you're forcing that person to carry the baby. Look, nobody forced them to have sex except for, and I'm going to get this out of the way right now, rape, incest, and the health of the mother accounts for less than 4%, and I'm being generous, of all the abortions that take place in the United States. 96% of them, some say 92 to 96, 96% of them are out of the convenience for the mother. They went out, they made a choice to hook up with a man. I said, I'm going to leave the rape beside. This is all consensual. They made a choice to be promiscuous. They made a choice to be sensual. They made a choice to fornicate with the opposite sex. They made a choice to have unprotected sex. And I had a lady on Twitter condemn me about this. Well, the poor minorities, and this is a cultural leftist ideology. They can't take care of themselves, so we have to take care of them. They don't have ready access. They don't have ready access to contraceptives. And I literally called BS on that. It's a bunch of horse hockey. It really is. I asked that lady, I said, where's the closest pharmacy to you? Drugstore, CVS, Wintergreens, Rite Aid, our Wise store carries them. Walmart carries them in their pharmacy. I don't go to many other department stores. I imagine they might have, if they have a pharmacy section, they have contraceptives. They're called condoms. And people say, well, a condom isn't 100%. Let me tell you something, and I don't want to get vulgar here, and I don't want to make anybody mad, but the first 2 years of me, or almost 3 years, the first couple of years that we were married, my son was born in 88. We were trying to go 5 years, so we were married 4 years and a few months before my son was born. Or, my wife was already pregnant in our 4th year of marriage. But up to that point, we had used condoms. And they were 100% effective. Every time I used them, they were 100% effective. My wife did not get pregnant. As soon as we stopped using them, she got pregnant. And I thank God for my son every day. And we have a daughter, special needs daughter. We have 2 children. But we made a choice not to have kids because we just got married, and it was a suggestion. We went through pre-marriage counseling, because who knows how to be married, unless you talk to somebody that's been married. And we went to our preacher. His name is Chuck Forsythe, in the South Point Church Christ, and we went through marriage classes with him. And that was one of the suggestions in the books we were reading, was that we try to not have kids for the first 5 years of marriage so we can get used to each other. We can find out about each other, understand each other, how to live with each other, stuff like that. Maybe iron some issues out. So we literally didn't want to have kids, so we took steps. And condoms aren't expensive. Not at all. I was just in the store the other day, and I think a pack of 4 or something like that was a few bucks. And I'm not gonna throw any names out or anything like that, but they had a spermicide on them. So if there was a leakage, usually that takes care of it. But they're modern condoms are highly effective. And there's others. There's birth control. There's abstinence. You try abstinence. I've yet to find out that anybody, except for the Virgin Mary, got pregnant if they didn't have sex. And that was a miraculous miracle with the Virgin Mary. And after that, she had other children. But have abstinence, wait till you're married. And literally in the Bible, it talks about how sex is for husbands and wives. Sex is for the marriage. It talks about the marriage bed is undefiled in the book of, I believe it's the book of Hebrews. Whoremongers that God will judge, but the marriage bed is undefiled. So sex is for man and woman who are married, husband and wife. Okay, so you get married. Now a lot of people say, well, it was an inconvenience that she got pregnant, so because we wanted to have fun or whatever. I don't know all the reasons, and I really don't care, because all you're doing is making excuses why you want to get rid of a baby, instead of taking responsibility for the consequences of having premarital sex, unprotected sex, and not willing to deal with the consequences. And our society, folks, our society is built on that. People don't want the consequences. Kids go to college, they have no idea what they're doing going to college, and most of them shouldn't be going to college. And they rack up all these bills, and then they want the taxpayers to pay them off because they can't make any money on the women's studies that they did, or the degree they got in, or whatever. And it's ridiculous. And they don't want to bear up on their consequences. Same way with credit cards. Not nothing against other hosts, other conservative hosts or whatever, but they advertise about, if you got credit card debt, refinance your house and pay them off. Get a lower interest. But is that going to stop your credit card spending? If you're up to the point where you really need to get money out of your house to pay off your credit card debt because the interest rate's too high, the payments are too high, are you going to stop doing what you did to get in that situation to begin with? Consequences, folks. You have to, Jesus talked about the builder. You got to sit down and figure out if you can build the whole house or not before you even start. And you got to be careful where you build your house. Do you want to build it on the sand, or you want to build it on the rock? Now, he was more or less talking about doctrine and building it on faith of him and God and what they were teaching. But the principle is a sound principle even in building. You want to build it on sand, you want to build it on a rock. And this brings me back to about Canaanites and everything that's going on there. We're teaching our kids, from preschool on up, to question their sexuality. It boggles my mind that these teachers even want to talk to our kids about sexuality. That should be something that the parents left up to the parents. But no, cultural Marxists, parents aren't capable of doing that. Parents don't understand how to do that. And yet the thing is, it amazes me how these people reason these things out, how they try to reason these things out. And it just, to me, it just falls flat on its head. It really does. It just falls flat on its head. And we're teaching them, just like back in Canaan and Moloch and sacrificing the kids. The kids were trained that this is a sacrament to that religion. And then it was an honor for them to be sacrificed. So they wouldn't be kicking and screaming when they laid them in in those hands. They're literally, they were describing how they built an idol of Moloch and had these hands, and they were building a fire up underneath them. And the fire was literally coming out of its hands. And that's where they burnt the children. And the children remember this, and the children were indoctrinated in this. And that's why God commanded that man, woman, and child be wiped out. He didn't want a remembrance of this stuff. And folks, I can't give you book, chapter, and verse on judgment on the United States, but I tell you what, God's well within his right and his authority and justice to wipe us out, every man, woman, and child that participates in this, because he wants to wipe out a remembrance of all the evil that's being taught back then, and I believe being taught now. This is sheer evil, abject evil that's being taught to our children about this transgender LGBTQ agenda, and they call us radicals. They call us radicals because we don't want our children taught. There's conservatives, quote unquote, at the lamestream media New York Times that I got an article here. Let me look at the title here real quick. Oh wow. Overturning Roe v. Wade may not be or is not a conservative thing. And he defines what a conservative is. And I consider myself conservative, but if shown the evidence of something, I will change in a heartbeat. I will do a 180 in a heartbeat, just like my conversion to Christianity. I grew up Catholic. I grew up not reading the Bible. We were not encouraged. I'm 60 years old. I was born in 1962. We were not supposed to be, as lay people, reading the Bible. That was for the priest to read to us, to tell us what it said. And it wasn't until October of 1982 that my brother Dave and Al they were Navy, now not my literal brothers, my brothers in Christ, they taught me the truth. We read through the Bible. They showed me what the Bible actually said. And you know what one of my first reactions was? I was so mad because I was lied to all my life. I was lied to by the Catholic priests and that whole fake religion. I was lied to. And you know what I did? I repented of my life. I made a 180 in my life, and I left that behind. That was a radical change in my life. And this guy in this article, we'll touch it here real quick. I know this is probably going to be almost an hour long, but I'm going to try to get through this fairly quick. I got a lot of my heart here. That was a radical change. And according to him, that's not conservative. If you make a radical change like that. And Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, man, they've been moaning the fact that these justices, in their hearing said, "Oh, we're not going to touch this thing. We're not, we agree with stare decisis and precedent and stuff like that." But the problem is, if you're shown the truth about it and persuaded that, look, Roe v. Wade was legislating from the bench, everything they talked about Roe v. Wade, they made out of thin air. It wasn't true. And so just on the first issue, it was legislating from the bench. Stare decisis doesn't come in there, as far as I'm concerned. Precedent doesn't warrant keeping that on the precedent because it was legislating from the bench, something the Supreme Court's not supposed to do. Just on those two things, and I imagine I'm trying to read through the brief that sounds like 80 pages, but some of the reasoning in the original Rehnquist, I believe, was one that penned the dissent of Roe v. Wade, and he made a lot of points, and I think they're making some of the same points in overturning Roe v. Wade. And if these justices were persuaded that their position on stare decisis and on precedent were wrong in this one instant, I think they were correct to abandon it and do what they did, no matter what Pelosi, they lied to us. And it's like, you hypocrites, you lie to us all the time. The lamestream media lies to us all the time. And I don't think it was a lie. I think at the time they honestly believed in stare decisis and precedent, and they weren't going to touch that until Alito and maybe Clarence Thomas sat down and talked with them and reasoned things out with reason and logic and said, "Look, folks, you can't keep this." It was a law. It was a law made by the justices, which was unconstitutional to begin with, and it needs to go. And I think we need to have this fight. I honestly believe we need to have this cultural fight over this right now. Now, some people are saying this could spark a civil war. Well, I believe we're in a cold civil war right now. We've been for quite a few years, and I believe it's getting closer and closer to a physical civil war. And I think one of the reasons because of that is because so much information is getting out that the leftists and the cultural Marxists don't want out. Pictures of babies in the wombs. Scientists saying that life begins at conception. And other information besides the the big three, you know, Google and YouTube and Facebook. I should say, I say big three now because Twitter's bought and sold by Elon Musk, and I believe things are going to change over there at Twitter. I really do, you know, my heart of hearts. And I think it's going to be for the best. And we got, you know, I'm on Rumble, I'm on BitChute with my videos on both of those. I can put videos on Gab. I use Gab for, you know, posting stuff. I use Twitter for posting stuff. There's all sorts of other platforms that you can get information, disseminate information about things, get it out there. And this is information, sunlight, as Elon Musk would say, is the best cleanser. And we have to have a honest public discourse, and I believe a moral public discourse about abortion and the evils of abortion. It just, you know, I'm just speaking from the heart here, folks. I really do believe that. And if it comes down to a civil war, those that want to fight for abortion and those that want to fight for the life of the unborn and protect it, I'm going to be standing on the side of protecting the unborn. You're literally going to have to go through me to get to the unborn. I'm that passionate about it. And I don't think you're willing to do that. I really don't. I know there's some violence. I'm going to show you some violence. But I think if it gets to the point where it gets too bad and people start pushing back against the violence, I don't think these people are going to stand up to it. I really don't. I don't think they have the moral fortitude, you know, the rightness behind them saying, you know, that this is, you know, this is my hill I'm going to die on. I don't think they're going to want to die on that hill. I'm willing to die on this hill to protect the unborn. Are they willing to die on that hill to protect what they call their right to kill the unborn? I don't think so. Maybe they are. Maybe they are, but I think when push comes to shove, they're not going to. Now, I got a couple short videos here that I want. This first one, I love it. It's Elizabeth Warren, okay? And she's angry. Oh, she's angry. You know, Pocahontas, she's just bubbling with anger. And this heckler, I love this guy back there. And but let me show this to you real quick, and then I'll make some comments on it afterwards.
Because I am angry. I am angry because an extremist United States Supreme Court thinks that they can impose their extremist views on all of the women of this country, and they are wrong.
Yes!
I am angry because we have reached the culmination of what Republicans have been fighting for, angling for decades now, and we are going to fight back. I am angry because of who it will not be wealthy women. Wealthy women can get on an airplane. They can fly to another state. They can fly to another country. They can get the protection they need. This will fall on the poorest women in our country. This will fall on the young women who have been abused, who are victims of incest. This will fall on those who have been raped. This will fall on mothers who are already struggling to work 3 jobs to be able to support the children they have. Well, I am here because I am angry, and I am here because the United States Congress can change all of this.
Yes, it
Angry, but committed. Understand this. I have seen the world where abortion is illegal. And we are not going back. Not ever. No. So say it with me. We are not going back. We are not going back. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. country. Across this country, red states and blue states, old people and young people want Roe versus Wade changed.
We don't want to dismember children in the womb.
Thank you,
ma'am.
Senator. Thank you,
No,
Senator.
we are not going to stand for dismembering 3,000 children in the womb every single day. And anybody, I don't care what type of leader you are, the fact that you as a leader would stand for the dismemberment and subjugation of minority communities.
Thank you for your support. We love you. Thank you.
It's despicable and disgusting.
Well, folks, that was Elizabeth Warren. Okay. And these people are nuts. They're wackadoodles. Okay. We need Congress to codify this in law. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. But someone can correct me if I'm wrong. If the Supreme Court strikes down Roe v. Wade because it was bad law, there's nothing in the Constitution about abortion where the federal government can govern over abortion. That's the basic, just the basic thing there. But if they strike down Roe v. Wade and Congress makes a law to try to codify that into law, wouldn't that be unconstitutional still? I'm just saying, folks. I mean, simple reasoning and logic brought me to that. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't see how, if they strike down what they call law, which was legislation from the bench, which was unconstitutional to begin with, and then Congress passes a law to go through there to codify Roe v. Wade, and it gets challenged, and you know, these people are all about stare decisis and precedent and stuff like that, and it gets challenged. Well, there was a precedent just set that this was unconstitutional. Wouldn't they be in their rights to do the same thing, saying this new law would be unconstitutional? I don't know if these folks really thought this stuff out that far ahead, but oh my goodness. I mean, just, oh my goodness. and that guy, that heckler, he was right. We don't want these babies dismembered in the womb. And did you see what happened? They couldn't get her out of there fast enough, and she would not answer that. I've been on Twitter since Sunday night, and I have yet, I've asked all these liberal politicians I'm following, some other folks that are really, on board with this abortion, killing babies is a right thing. And I said, so you believe that killing a baby is a right? How many people do you think answered me? Not one. Not one person answered me saying whether they thought it was a right or not. That's where they're fighting. That's what they're saying. That's what they want. They want to be able to kill babies in the womb. That means they want it as codified as a right, which can't be a right if you know what a right really is. But that's what they want. Now, the next one here, bumbling, stumbling Joe. Where's my pudding? Where do I lay my pudding down? Well, I want some ice cream. Here's what he had to say about what religion has to say about when life starts and a couple things like that.
Look, think what Roe says. Roe says what all basic mainstream religions have historically concluded. That the existence of a human life and being is a question. Is it at the moment of conception? Is it 6 months? Is it 6 weeks? Is it quickening like Aquinas argued? I mean, so the idea that we're going to make a judgment that is going to say that no one can make the judgment to choose to abort a child based on a decision by the Supreme Court, I think goes way overboard.
This is their ideology. Well, we really can't know. Is it a quickening like Aquinas said? I'd like to hear what Tom Woods would have to say about that. But is it a quickening? 6 weeks, 15 weeks, 9 months? When is it a life? There has to be some type of moral standard to that, folks. There really, really does. There really has to be. And I believe Psalms 139 has the answer for us. I really do. Okay? And it's something that I got to set this one up too. I got to put the mixer in it. Hang on just a second, folks. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And this is God saying this through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. Let me read this. If you got your Bibles, go to Psalms 139, verse 14, starting, okay? I will give thanks to thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are thy works, and my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from thee when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the depths of the earth. Thine eyes have seen my unformed substance, and in thy book they were all written, the days that were ordained for me, when as yet there was not one of them. The psalmist is saying that he was still in the womb, and he was fearfully and wonderfully made, and God knew him from the beginning, before he had any days. And this is the thing that we're fighting with these people. They want to kill the unborn baby in the womb. They want to have that right to do that. I don't know. I don't get monetized on YouTube, so this one might be getting taken down. I don't know. I wanted to stop there just for a second because of all the things I've been saying on here. It will be on Rumble and it will be on BitChute. And if you look at the links below the video, you'll find those. And if you don't find them there, you can go to my danclementshow.com. I'll be putting the audio version out of this, and all the links will be in there. You can go watch the video if you want, or listen to the audio over there. But folks, I'm telling you, these guys are part of a death cult. Rush Limbaugh used to call them a death cult. And they're part of this. And this is something that has to stop. We cannot let this go on any further. I'm all for persuading folks not to kill somebody. But we still have laws on the books that make murder illegal. If I come over to your house and kill you, that's murder. Premeditated murder. That's illegal. Even though we have a law, people still do it. But I'm of the opinion that laws keep sane people from doing insane things. Just like a lock on a door keeps an honest man honest. Okay? You know, like I said, maybe I'm a little too simplistic in what I'm talking about here, but folks, I don't think I am. I think I'm hitting it right on the head. Like I said, some people say I'm too simplistic, but I think it's black and white. Killing a baby in the womb is murder. Even the Old Testament, I didn't dig these verses out, but you can look them up. Even the Old Testament talks about how if a woman is injured and she loses her baby, the person that injured her, he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble. Now here's Whoopi Goldberg. This one, folks, I'm sorry about the audio quality on these. I was downloading them and trying to get the audio quality up on them, and I don't know what was going on. I think I had an open mic on my other desk over here, over this side here where I do my podcasting and stuff like that. And that's why I think the audio quality went away, but I didn't realize it until I put everything together here. And I do apologize for that. I really do. I'll do better in the future. But here's Whoopi Goldberg talking about abortion, and she made I think a really ignorant comment. She really did. So let's just give this a listen, folks.
But I will tell you, this is my body, and nobody, you got people telling me I got to wear a mask or don't wear a mask or do this. Everybody wants to tell me what to do, but you won't let me make my decision about my body. You are not the person to make that decision. My doctor and myself and my child, that's who makes the decision. And one of the things I really...
Did you hear that, folks? Myself, my doctor, and my child make that decision. I don't think there's a child in the womb from the beginning of the world that had a choice on being aborted. Matter of fact, if they had a choice, they'd probably want to be born, to be quite honest with you. But here's the hypocrisy of the left, of these leftists, these cultural Marxists like Whoopi Goldberg. She talked about mask mandates. Okay? Everybody told me to put a mask on or get a shot, blah, blah, blah. Well, for the past 2 years, those harpies on The View, that's all they talked about. Gotta wear a mask, gotta get vaccinated, blah, 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 blah. Folks, I contracted and got over COVID-19 in February of 2020. Took me about 5 days altogether, maybe 6, where I was feeling total 100% again. And I went about my life like I always did. You know, if you were a business, wanted me to wear a mask, if I could go someplace else that didn't require me to wear a mask, I went there. Just that simple. I didn't wear a mask. And some of the businesses like Lowe's that wanted us to wear masks, I bought some plastic visors that actually slide over the bill of your ball cap, because I wear a ball cap all the time. It was just a clear plastic visor. Got a lot of dirty looks wearing those around because it wasn't a mask. It wasn't a mask. But I was going to live my life the way I always had. I wasn't scared of COVID. Like I said, I already had it. I believe in natural immunity. And I think the response to the COVID pandemic was a scam. COVID wasn't. It was real. I believe it was a weaponized germ, or virus, I should say, that came out of China. I hold them totally responsible for this. Oh, we can't say that. Can't say anything bad about China, but I hold them totally responsible for this. So this is the hypocrisy of the cultural Marxists and the leftists in this country, in politics, in the Democrat Party. During the pandemic, it wasn't your body, it wasn't your choice. You had to do it. And there's people that I still read stuff every day that people come up on the deadline where they had to get a vaccine or lose their job, and they lost their job. A lot of nurses around here and doctors up at Geisinger Medical Center up in Danville, PA, which isn't too far from me. They gave them an ultimatum, and I think it's called UMPC, another healthcare provider in the area. They weren't requiring masks and vaccines of their nurses and their doctors. Most of them a lot of them already had COVID, had it and got over it. So they had natural immunity. So they were literally hiring doctors and nurses on the spot and on probationary purposes, so they could, I guess it takes time for the license to transfer and all the paperwork to get done, but they were hiring them on the spot. And Geisinger, boy, they were understaffed for the longest time, but they got enough people back that were willing to vaccinate themselves and wear a mask. And the only place I wear a mask now is when I go down to the VA. I was just down to VA Tuesday to get my diabetic retinopathy in my eye checked and get an MRI on my neck. And I had to wear a mask in there. And it's the only place I go that I have to wear a mask. And the only reason why I wear a mask is because I need that medical attention. So, but the hypocrisy is just, it abounds. 2 years. It's not your body, not your choice. You got to do it. When it comes to women's health, abortion, which isn't healthy for the baby, it's her body, her choice. Folks, can't have it both ways. You just can't have it both ways. I'm sorry. That's called hypocrisy. And I didn't want to force anybody to get a vaccine. I'm still not vaccinated. I'm not going to get vaccinated. My mom's still mad at me about that I'm not vaccinated. Sorry, Mom, I'm not doing it. She got it. She got vaccinated. Guess what? She got COVID. I know a lot of people that got vaccinated and got COVID. I know a lot of people who had COVID before, got vaccinated, and got COVID again. I'm not doing it. I'm not playing their games on that. And these folks that continually play the game about abortion and are hypocritical. A couple weeks ago, no one can define a man or a woman. Well, I'm not a biologist. I can't tell you what a woman is or a man is. Now they know what a woman is. They know exactly what a woman is. Again, if you don't have, and this is the thing, if you don't have an objective, sound like Ayn Rand here, but she didn't like religion. But if you don't have an objective moral standard that you live by, you're going to be all over the road. You're going to be from one side of the road to the other. You're going to be like what Jesus talked about. You know, you're going to be a reed in the wind. You're going, you know, this way to this doctor, and you're going that way to that doctor. And they think people are have short memories and don't remember this stuff. You know, that they were literally, you know, forced to have shots, forced to wear masks, the whole 9 yards. And like I said, it is hypocrisy at just all over the place. And I can't stand that. And to tell you the truth, I'm almost done with the live stream here. I feel better because I got this off my chest. I really do. Me and my wife were talking about it. She's totally pro-life. We used to do foster kids until we had Deanna. And then Deanna, special needs, became a full-time job for us. I had to drive trucks so my wife could stay home, take care of our daughter. And then eventually when she got older and was able to go to school, I was able to come off the full-time road, over the road and do some local driving stuff like that. But, you know, I'm pro-life. I'm definitely pro-life. What's going to happen to all these babies? Well, why don't we, and this is the other argument, we're going to have so many unwanted babies. Are you going to adopt them and stuff like that? You're missing a big picture. You're indoctrinating these people, not indoctrinating, not teaching. You're indoctrinating these people, telling them it's all right if you get pregnant and you don't want that baby, you can kill it. But they're not down with, okay, we get rid of Roe v. Wade, what do we do? Well, there's going to be a whole lot of unwanted babies. Why don't we, instead of indoctrinating people, children, why don't we teach them the right way? Why don't we teach them that sex is for marriage and there's nothing wrong with being abstinent. Nothing wrong with holding out until you're married. And like I said, me and my wife for 4 years, we didn't want children for 4, at least we were shooting for 5, made it 4. We're close. We're real close there. But again, that was decisions we made. That was something we were taught. We never thought about that. Instead of indoctrinating our children into a death cult, why don't we teach our children into a life cult? And this is where I'm going to tell you, I think you need to get your kids out of public school if you can. And I've even been thinking about this. I know some parents want to do that, and they want to homeschool them. And I've been thinking about, I'm here almost all the time, halfway intelligent, a little bit, and I could help them. I could help their kids. I got access to computers here. I could help their kids study and do the homeschooling if they have a hard time, they need to work or something like that. And I'm actually looking into that. And I think that's something we can all do. We need to teach our children. We don't need to indoctrinate them. We need to teach them the right way. We need to teach them it's okay not to have sex before marriage. It's okay to save yourself for marriage. It's okay to use contraceptives like condoms so you don't get pregnant when you are married. And if you're going to make the decision to have sex, whether you're married or not, you ought to have the good sense to protect yourself, to use some protection so you don't get pregnant, so you don't have to walk down this road to this death cult and abort that baby because you made a mistake in the beginning. And I'm not talking just to women either. I'm talking to the men too. You can keep your pants pulled up and zipped. You can help that young lady not to get into that situation where she feels like she has no other choice but to get rid of that child and to kill that child. It takes 2 to tango. I think far too often we put this burden on the women, and we shouldn't. It should be on the men too. It should be absolutely on the men. Now, Democrat representative, and I'm not sure if I pronounce her last name, Jayapal. These people do not know. These people do not know the Constitution. They do not know the law, and it shows every time they open up their stupid mouths. They ought to just Keep their mouth shut and let people think they're fools, then open them up and prove them correct. Listen to this, folks.
But I can tell you, this is a stunning, stunning rebuke of precedent and of the fundamental freedom that women have to make choices about our own bodies and our own futures and our own economic security. And the thing is, Victor, that these justices are acting like this is somehow something that they have the right to change. They do not have the right to change this, which has been settled law for 2 generations now, of people who have grown up, who have gone through their 20s in the firm belief that they can make these decisions about their own bodies.
Precedent, settled law. They can't change this. It's been, since 73 that this has been enacted. Again, she shows her ignorance, her willful ignorance of the law and of the Constitution. Again, I'm going to reiterate this. In 1973, they legislated from the bench. They absolutely legislated from the bench. They created a right out of thin air and created abortion out of thin air, saying it was in the Constitution when it wasn't. And they have every right to correct that wrong. I'm sorry. They had every right to correct that wrong. They had I got the next one coming up here. And then we'll be done here in a little bit. They have every right to change their minds and overturn Roe v. Wade. And I think it's high time. I think it should have been done 2 years after it was decided in 73 because it was wrong-headed. But no one had the political fortitude, the intestinal fortitude in politics to actually take it on. It's like Social Security is the third rail, the third rail of politics. What? Go read the Constitution Party's platform and read about Social Security on there. They have a really common sense way to undo something that was unconstitutional to begin with under FDR. But it can be undone, and a better way can be done. Go read it, Constitution Party. Look up their platform, and it's all separated out. Matter of fact, I think it's in alphabetical order, too. Just look up Social Security. We just because something is law doesn't mean it's right. There's been many, many, many laws that were overturned that either state legislatures or the federal legislature have enacted. And there's many, many more that need to be overturned. The law that created the Department of Education, the law that created the EPA, the law that created the Bureau of Land Management. There's so many alphabet agencies out there, folks, that are unconstitutional that need to be done away with because they're not authorized. The federal government was not given the power by the states to govern over these things. They just really weren't. And Representative Jayapal, she just showing her ignorance, just flat out showing her ignorance. Now, Chucky Schumer, he's mad. He's real mad. Now listen, I laugh every time I watch this.
I cannot tell you the outrage I feel at this decision. And the outrage I feel that Republicans who did it won't own up to it and duck it. It's despicable. We're not talking about anything inconsequential. We're talking about women's health, a women's right to choose, and the millions and millions and millions of American women who have felt the need to have an abortion. Just about every one of us knows someone in that situation.
Folks, honestly, I don't know. And I'm being honest here. If I know a woman that has had an abortion, I don't know. She never told me. I don't know any women or any married couples that I know of personally that have had an abortion. And if they have, they didn't tell me about it. Okay? They didn't tell me about it. So there's a lie there. He's mad because they were lied to. And again, if with logic and reason you were showing that your decision was wrong and you need to change the direction of your thinking, when you change your direction of your thinking, I've never agreed with stare decisis. That's a ridiculous standard. I'm sorry. I believe it is. Because if something's bad law, or if it was a bad ruling about a law, that needs to be changed. And if it comes back up, it should be changed. How many times is the Supreme Court going to argue the Second Amendment? It keeps coming up time and time again. A basic right to defend ourselves. We have a natural right to defend ourselves, and the Second Amendment codifies that right. That shall not be infringed by the federal government. We have so many gun laws by the federal government and the state governments, it's not funny. I have to get a permit to carry a gun. Why? My permit's the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. You don't have a constitutional right to abortion. You don't have a constitutional right to kill a living being, period. A living human being. You don't have that. And what made me sick in the spirit over the past couple of days was out in LA, they had a protest, and I guess some broke out in Arizona and some other places. And this is what really got me down in the spirit and sick of heart. That these people are willing to fight to keep abortion in this country. They're willing to kill. They're willing to kill other human beings so they have a right to kill that baby in the womb. That's what it's boiling down to, folks. They're willing to fight, injure, and possibly kill people so they can have that right to kill babies in the womb. I want to read something to you here real quick. Again, as soon as I get it set up, like I said, I don't know what I was thinking when I set these up, not putting a mixer on these things. But this is Isaiah 59. If you got your Bibles with you or your software, Isaiah 59, starting in verse 7. Their feet run to evil, and they hasten to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. Devastation and destruction are in their highways. They do not know the way of peace, and there is no justice in their tracks. And they have made their paths crooked. Whoever treads on them does not know peace. These people, these folks, are willing to literally set the country on fire, injure and kill other people, so they can be allowed to kill human babies in the womb. I can't emphasize that enough, folks. I really can't. And I don't think I'm being too harsh with this. They're willing to kill and injure others so they can have that supposed right to kill babies in the womb. It has nothing to do with women's health care. Nothing. There's nothing healthy about abortion for the baby. Not at all. This is the last video I'm going to share with you. Now, the last part of the video, you're going to hear a song. It's this rapper I found. His name's Tom McDonald. And he's a young man. Not super huge in the rap, but his are more, I would say, patriotic songs. And I had to put the music up on there. And I know he gets close to being vulgar a couple times, and maybe he steps over the line, but not like the F-bombs that were dropping in the second or the last part of this video I'm going to share with you. So that's why I put the music over it. The music wasn't with the video. I put it over it. And the first part is this is what really started my heart aching and me to sort of my continents fall in my spirit. 15-year-old girl arguing for the right to kill babies in the womb. If that's not indoctrination, folks, I don't know what is. Here's the video.
We have
we passed Roe v. Wade, we're safe, we're okay, and the fact that the Supreme Court might pass this is just the last straw to show that we're not safe, and we may go back, and we will not go back. I mean, I'm 15 years old, I'm a freshman in high school. I should be at home doing my homework, but instead I'm here fighting for my rights because I know this may be my
All right, folks. That like I said, that was Tom McDonald, and he has other really good songs. If you like rap, his isn't too. Like I said, his isn't bad. Not full of vulgarity or anything. I know there's a couple words there were close to the line or maybe stepped over for some folks, and I do apologize for that. But that video, the soundtrack on that video, I could not play that on here because I can't. I'd have to go over here to my Audacity and try to take out all the F-bombs and then match it up on there. I'm not really good at all that editing on the audio and the video at the same time. That's not my forte. I can do minor editing. But that 15-year-old girl and her mom and dad were probably proud of her for being there, proud of her for standing up for her right to kill babies in the womb. I'm going to keep hammering on that, folks. That's exactly what they're doing. They're fighting for the right to kill babies in the womb. And at the end there, you seen that somebody threw a scooter at those cops. I felt sorry for those cops. You know, the guy, they were trying to arrest the guy because they were getting beat up on. I was listening to the soundtrack in there, and they were trying to beat up on the guy, or the guy was trying to beat up on them. He, threw a bag or something at him. And they were trying to arrest him, and these people just stepped in there and were ganging up on the cops. And like I said, folks, we're in a cold civil war right now. I mean, I lived through the Cold War, I was a Cold War warrior, served in the Navy from 1980 to 1986 altogether, 84 active and then 2 years inactive reserves. For almost 4 years, I slept with my head over nuclear ballistic missiles on our ship that we serviced nuclear submarines, nuclear missile boomer submarines, we call them. So I lived through a Cold War, the tensions of that. And I mean, a civil war is palpable. I mean, you can taste it in the air, and it's not going to end good for anybody. But honestly, from this is coming from my limited military experience and the things I've learned over the years. It's not going to end well for the aggressors. It really isn't. And I hope the pro-life people are not the aggressors. I hope people are thinking like me. We're going to hold the line, and we're going to protect as many of the unborn as we can, and let them be the aggressors, and let everybody see that they're the aggressors, and then deal with it. So that's the last video I have. I know I'm looking here. I got an hour and 20 minutes. I used to do a 3-hour show every day back in the 2000s on Blog Talk Radio. I used to do a 3-hour show every day, a podcast show, but I won't drag it out any further. I'm going to let you guys go. I got some comments coming up here in the chat. I'm gonna try to answer them, copy them down, and answer them before I get off everything. But I just want to let you know that I'm real passionate about this. I think I'm pretty sure I'm on the right side of this. I'm not pretty sure. I know I'm on the right side of this. That I'm standing on not my own moral standard, but I'm standing on God's objective moral standard when it comes to this. And this is what we need to teach. This is the hill we need to die on, folks. This is definitely a hill that we need to die on, or at least be willing to die on, to save the unborn, to stop this slaughter of the innocents. It really is. This has been Dan Clemens Show. I'm your host, Dan Clemens, your constitutional warrior. Remember, if you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it every time. We'll see you on the next video, and God bless, and take care.